Welcome back to The Chosen Life. I'm your host, The Chosen Lawyer, and today we have on my brother from a different mother, Mr. Jonny Belinko. Jonny, welcome to The Chosen Life.
Yes, thank you for having me, Jonathan.
We've known each other now a good, do you say 5 years, 7 years at least, eh?
Maybe even a little bit longer, but yeah.
Do you recall the first time that you and I met?
It would have been at the Moksha. Back then, it was Moksha Yoga. So it was the Moksha Yoga Studio in Thornhill.
Very good.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you would have probably just been finishing or just about to go into a yoga class. And I'd heard about you because you were that guy coming in every single day for yoga. So I think I caught you maybe in the 3 months of that, or maybe the 4 months of that beginning.
The nickname actually developed into Warrior One because of the everyday
Right,
practice.
I forgot about Warrior.
Yeah, I was actually with the reason that nickname came to be. I was with the Brogies. That's what we called each other. The 6:30 a.m. class, and one guy comes in after the class, one class we're practicing, and I said, "Man, your Warrior 2 looks solid today. You're gonna be Warrior 2." And then the other guy looks over, but you practice every day, so you're Warrior 1. So that's how the Warrior 1 nickname came to be, and the 395 consecutive days of yoga and the insanity goes.
Yep.
So I believe I was coming into a class. I was going to take a hot class. You were teaching Ashtanga in the cold room or the room temperature room.
Yeah.
And I was very resistant to doing room temperature or cold yoga. I only wanted hot yoga. But I remember walking in, seeing you behind a desk and walking up to you and saying, "Hi, are you my brother?" And I was amazed. I thought I was literally looking almost at myself.
There are some similarities, yes.
But in a good way. That's a nice thing to see.
For sure.
And you and I started to bond over seeing each other at the studio in various studios. I believe we saw each other at St. Clair a few times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Maybe even Danforth. The yoga world's a very small one. But you hold the distinction in a very positive place in my heart because I eventually caved and decided to try Ashtanga.
You did.
Bring Ashtanga. And I was coming in weekly to Ashtanga. You were able to get me to do a headstand guided.
Yes.
And eventually a headstand on my own.
Yes, that's true. That is what happened during that year, yeah.
It is the scariest, most empowering feeling in the world when you're bringing your legs up under your own power. You feel like you're going to topple down like Jenga, and yet you're staying airborne.
Yeah, headstands, it's an amazing posture. You get to flip everything upside down. All your organs, your systems, your blood flow, it's your skin, the way you see the world. Look, inversions are powerful stuff.
Never told you this story before, but I remember one of my moments as a child and those memories of fear or terror. In order to get one of my badges in swimming, I had to do the thing where you had to stand at the corner of the pool and then flip yourself into the water.
Yeah.
I was always afraid that I was going to hit my head against the wall, so I could never do it. And somehow in one summer year, they just let me pass. But I had this overriding fear of my head and toppling over. So I was carrying that trauma into the Ashtanga room when trying to do a headstand, and you helped me overcome that.
Okay.
So thank you for that.
And here we go.
So us being in the yoga world, and today we're going to be talking about yoga as well as weddings because you're a multifaceted dude. But let's start first and foremost, yoga, the spiritual world. Jonny Belinko, how did you come to be into the yoga world? Tell us your story.
Yeah, so my story is that I'm coming out of university, getting a degree in chemistry, and did a lot of just normal university partying and normal university bad eating, and I don't know. I just started to coming out of that whole thing, and then looking at the rest of my life and looking at people older than me and seeing all the issues with bodies and back pains and knee pains and stresses and all this stuff, it kind of got me a little bit like, I think I need to do something. Nothing was too crazy, but I just need to do something like a pre-medicine, something proactive to make sure this didn't happen. So in looking around, I just wanted something that I'd have no excuses. It wasn't a weight. It wasn't going somewhere. It wasn't needing this equipment or this thing. My body, and I got my breathing. okay, what are my options? And so I just started, I didn't even know much. I just started working my body and my breathing out. And then from there, oh, yoga. Okay, they're doing the same thing. They're moving their body, they're doing their breathing. So I started going to yoga classes
How
and
old were you when you figure you took your first yoga class?
2023.
Okay, so you were young. Okay.
23. And I started teaching when I was 24. So it was like
Wow.
boom, boom. It was like once I got into the first, I was like you every single day. Yoga, yoga, yoga. I would have started around January. And I went January, February, March, April, May, June. And by June, I was in teacher training with Natalia. She was my teacher and she was on this podcast, I think,
Correct.
last week. So I did the Moksha teacher training in 2005. And that was the second ever Moksha teacher training. And yeah, so I was fully immersed in yoga every single day, um, you know, using it to get my body healthy, use my breathing. And it just all made sense to me.
Which was the studio you first started going to? Do you recall?
The very first one would have been the Yoga Sanctuary back when it was at Young in college. And then from there, I went to Moksha on the Danforth.
So what was the light bulb that went over your head when you decided, you know what, this teacher training's for me? How did you decide to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I saw it being offered. I was so involved in the community. I was going every day. I just had this opening in my life where I could take a month and do the teacher training. I just had to just do it. I don't know. I don't even really, it was like, it's just like you're walking and says, sign here. Yeah. Sign there. Yeah. And I was just going through these. Every time there was an opportunity, I would just take it, to the point where when I was in that teacher training in 2005, someone came from Taiwan to interview because he was opening up a boutique studio in Taipei, a, a yoga space. And he was interviewing people at the Drake Hotel. And I took an interview and he wanted me to come. And so after that teacher training, 2 weeks later, I was on an airplane moving to Taiwan to teach yoga full time. Yeah.
And how long were you out there for?
Almost a year. I
Incredible.
know.
It's amazing how the yoga world just gets everybody kind of floating around.
Yeah,
And
it's really that whole cliche flow thing, when you're in flow and it's just you're there, you're open to opportunities, you see an opportunity and you just kind of go and you just see where it takes you.
see, I had no idea that you had even done the moksha teacher training
Yeah,
because
second one.
I've only known you as an Ashtanga teacher.
Yeah.
And so how long were you doing the moksha teaching for, and how did you find or how did you get embedded into the world of Ashtanga?
Okay, so I'm in Taiwan now, right? I'm
Yeah.
teaching moksha. I got 2 classes a day at this really beautiful studio in Taipei called a space. And there's these people doing Ashtanga like at 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. And I just started getting in with them and being very interested in what they were doing. And I just started showing up in the morning, and then that's so I was teaching the yoga, teaching the moksha, practicing the Ashtanga in the morning, and then from there, when I finally made my way back to Toronto in 2006, I started teaching the Ashtanga.
That's how people tend to get into Ashtanga. I noticed you're coming to a different class or something, and there's somebody out there. It's like 5:30 in the morning.
Hmm.
Psst, psst. Hey, buddy, want to try some Ashtanga? I got
Yeah.
some Ashtanga over here for you. Come over here.
Hmm.
And you're like, no, no, I'm good. I'm good. I got my hot yoga. I'm good. Thanks.
Hmm.
And then, but eventually the lure is like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to get past myself. I will go. And for all of us that tend to resist it or saying it's not for us, I've known people now that they keep the daily Ashtanga practice going. And the ones that are really in the Ashtanga world, one thing I will say this, they don't look like they're aging at all. I see them 2 years
Hmm.
later, 3 years later,
Hmm.
and they look either the same or better.
Hmm.
So is there something with Ashtanga and the fountain of youth, would you say?
No, you can get it. Ashtanga is nothing really like that special. I've kind of learned that over the years. Probably if I was on this podcast, 15 years ago, I'd be way different. But it's moving, breathing, and it's a consistency. And the Ashtanga really drills in the consistency, where the other yogas, oh, you can take this out, you can take that out, but the Ashtanga is like, no, you can't. Don't take it out. Just do it, do it, do it, do it, and you keep drilling away. And I think that may be a little bit of what's different between the Ashtanga and the other forms of the yoga.
What was the decision to come back from Type A? Was that always meant to be temporary, or did you have
I
your
don't
fill?
I don't know. I just kind of it kind of run its course, and I kind of wanted to get back to Canada and start developing myself here.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
had the year in Type A,
Hmm.
got it out of your system, felt good. Back
Hmm.
in Canada,
Hmm.
you've now done some Ashtanga out there. You
Hmm.
have the Moksha teacher training.
Hmm.
Where was next for Jonny Belinko at this point?
Yeah, so then I started getting jobs at gyms and yoga studios in Toronto. Like back in the day before there was Equinox, there was the Yorkville Club.
Yes.
So the Yorkville Club was one of the first places I used to teach. And then, from there, there's been so many yoga studios.
Could you even
Uh,
estimate how many yoga studios you've taught at in your life?
oh,
Hundreds?
in Toronto, I don't know about hundreds, but definitely 50 to 60.
Just in
Yeah.
Toronto alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, a lot of yoga studios, a lot of gyms too, right? So there's gyms and yoga studios, and yeah.
Do you also notice that as you are teaching at different establishments, that all of a sudden students tend to follow you to the different locations?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That definitely happened over the years as you'll see students popping up in different studios, different places.
I've kind of noticed, especially in the Ashtanga world, that when somebody really enjoys a particular Ashtanga teacher's style, they tend
Mhm.
to want to gravitate to their classes, regardless of the location almost.
Yeah. And Ashtanga is kind of hard to find in the city now, like lead classes. Like there's some just because the lead class and the way it's traditionally taught is a little different. So what I kind of call my stuff now is the vinyasa, which basically is just the word for linking breathing and moving, which is Ashtanga is a vinyasa system.
Yes.
So I just really just try to keep more to I teach vinyasa yoga, which I do. It just so happens it's heavily influenced by Ashtanga.
Have you found now before the COVID times
Hmm.
came up? At that point, were you still teaching regularly at different establishments, or
Yeah,
yeah?
yeah, I still do. And when when COVID happened, I everyone moved online, and then
Yes.
I tried to I tried to pivot online and realized that's not a strength of mine really quickly. And it was amazing to see some of the teachers I've been teaching with for so many years, how they kind of flourished when the online thing happened, and they
Yes.
had all the equipment and everything set up, and they were flourishing, and I was just I was just thinking with the online stuff. I'm like, I can't see you, I can't do an adjustment. I don't. It was hard for me to get into that whole online teaching yoga scene. So luckily now we're all back in studio, and I'm over that hump.
How did it feel the first time or the first few times going back into studio, having live bodies again at a studio and teaching?
Yeah, it was great. It felt great. I think, yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing seeing people again and seeing people getting back on their mat and doing the moving and breathing. No, it was wonderful.
And where are you teaching out of these days, Johnny?
Now I'm at Altea, which is a really cool gym just south of King on Strawn. Very cool gym, and I'm also at a couple of the yoga trees, and
Okay.
that's where I do a lot of my stuff right now.
Wonderful.
Hmm.
When I saw your name originally, Jonny Belinko, I
Hmm.
thought this can't be a real name. Like, and
Hmm.
your last name actually is Belinko.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Belinko, yeah,
Where does that originate from?
comes from the Ukraine.
Did,
Yeah, comes from Russia, yeah. Yeah.
is it like short for Belinkostein?
No, not that, it's like a Blinkov or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool, and it fits very much into the
Mhm,
realm of the world that you're in, which is multifaceted, like I was saying.
mhm,
The yoga world, as well, in the spiritual sense, you
mhm.
got into wedding officiating.
Yeah, it was an I know people don't really see I mean, originally we're starting in chemistry, okay?
Yes.
So if we really wanna do the whole thing, chemistry, how'd you go from chemistry to yoga? Well, think about what chemistry is. It's all about connecting things together, molecules, how molecules connect, how different liquids and matters, they all connect. Well, what's yoga? This is us. This is you connecting your breathing to your body. Connect. What's marriage? Two people holding space to help them make a connection to each other. So it's all this connectivity that I've really been drawn to. It's all very similar.
When you went to university originally, there was
Mhm.
no thought of being a yoga instructor at that point.
No, definitely not.
So going into chemistry, what did you picture your career path look? What is your life envisionment as
I
far
don't
as
know, maybe pharmaceutical sales? I
okay.
don't know because I like business and I like selling, and I always thought the chemistry and would just be um, like theory, and I would have that information, but I'd really kind of get into like a business or a sales, like maybe selling scientific equipment. I don't know, something like that.
But then, the world of yoga captivated you,
Yeah.
and then and reading on, and I tell people to get on Jonny Belinko, which we're going jonnybelinko.com, and we're gonna
Yeah.
have the link on the bio for sure.
Great.
But talking about your story and as far as spirituality and finding your journey,
Mhm.
I remember hearing the story that you're officiating weddings for the first time, and this was
Mhm.
now it feels like yesterday,
Mhm.
but man, this has to be now over 10 years.
No, weddings have just been like 5 or 6 years.
Okay,
Yeah, that's why we first met. I think it was like 10 years ago.
yeah,
I think we're missing some years.
time is kind of
Yeah.
like blurry, but I started heavily practicing yoga now over 10 years ago,
Mhm.
and we met each other fairly early on into my scene, so to speak. And then at one of the locations downtown, I remember, and then seeing you had mentioned it to me, and then I saw it online on Instagram, and I'm like, wow, Jonny is doing weddings. And
I am.
if there's a person I ever met that thought, you know what, calm, cool presence,
Mhm.
bring it together, I could see it. And then I saw some of your work and I loved it. I thought it was a great idea. What possessed you to want to do this and to help people? Like, where did it come to you?
Yeah, this again, it wasn't me. I didn't think this was a thing. I didn't know it was a thing. But two people asked me, Jonny, we want you to be the one to marry us. Well, I'm like, I'm not a wedding officiant. I'm not licensed to do this.
How did you know these people? Like, how did they come to
They're
you?
friends. They're friends of mine. Friends of mine wanted me to marry them. And, they said, look, we're going to take care of the legal another way, but we want you to be the one to hold the space for us on our wedding day.
And you had never done this before. You had
Mhm.
never raised it before. They
No,
just all of a sudden got inspired out of nowhere. Jonny,
it's a thing. It's a
that's
thing to get your friend to officiate the wedding. It's still very popular. You get a friend or a family member because you don't, you want to have somebody that officiate the wedding or just
maybe I don't
get
have a
married.
lot of great friends out there, but I don't have one friend I'm thinking of, man, I want this person to stand here and marry me off. No, that never occurred to me in this
Well,
life.
remember, I'm holding space for people all day long, teaching them yoga. I'm at the
Yes.
front of the
Yes.
room. I'm holding space for people and helping them connect their breathing and their body. That's what I do. So I'm sure somebody was like, hey, I want Jonny to be the one to hold space for us when we make this connection. He's obviously, he knows how to hold space for people and allow them to help make them a connection. So we want to transfer that into our marriage. Once I did that wedding, people found out. Then people started thinking I did this. You know how that sometimes happens? So then another couple asked me, hey, can you marry us? I'm like, look, I'm not a wedding officiant. I just did it this one time. Then when the second person asked me, I was like, okay, I got to look into this. And then I looked into how to become a licensed wedding officiant in Ontario. It's quite challenging, but I was able to figure it out based on my values and how I wanted to do things. And I did it. And then once that started, then the floodgates just opened. And I've done a lot of weddings now, like over 1,000.
Over 1,000 weddings.
Yeah.
Wow, that's one of my questions. I
Yeah.
had to know that part of it.
Yeah.
So you did the first wedding. You're not licensed.
Yeah. It was just help them make the connection.
just making a connection.
Yeah.
That's in. Then somebody else asks you, and then
Mhm.
so how long was the process to actually get certified in Ontario to do this?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
I can't really speak for all organizations, but
Yes.
the organization I'm with is called Humanist Canada.
Okay.
So this is the organization I found that was in line with my values, my ethics. Beautiful organization, and their members or people that go through their training are legally allowed to perform weddings in Ontario. So I joined them. I became, I learned about them. I was with them as a member for, I would say, about a year, over a year. Once I did that, then I enrolled in their officiant training. And then from there, I got licensed by the Ontario government. And then I was able to start doing weddings. So it was almost a 2-year process.
Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Mhm.
Now, are you able to do weddings outside of Ontario as well, or just Ontario?
No, only in Ontario.
Only Ontario.
Yeah. Laws in Canada is by province by province.
Yes,
Mhm.
and especially you go out west and BC, they do their own thing. Go to
Mhm.
Quebec, they're very much their own thing.
Yeah, they do their own thing. You can get, I've heard these stories about Quebec. I should know more about it, but I think you can just get like a 1-day licensing or
I'm not
something,
surprised.
like a
Yes.
one-off or something. I don't know. They have a different thing than Ontario.
So based on the timing you're doing this for a little bit of time, and all of
Mhm.
a sudden the loveliness that is COVID hits.
Yes,
So how was it to do weddings during COVID times?
5 people. Remember? There were
Yeah,
always 5 people.
right.
You got a bride,
Yes,
you got a groom,
yes.
you got an officiant, you got 2 witnesses. That's all you need.
That's the wedding.
It never went lower than 5.
Yes. Okay.
So as long as we had 5, we could still have ceremonies.
How many COVID weddings would you say you've done? Can you estimate that?
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I was doing weddings still almost every single week.
Oh, it's still regular. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, maybe, yeah, but I don't, winter it's tough, but I don't know. Definitely like 50.
And then it wasn't that long ago now that things had opened up and now we're back to the full swing. That must have been a great feeling for your parties when they would have
Mhm.
actual real ceremonies, real
Mhm.
parties again, right?
Well, I saw the whole thing. Like I remember because everything shut down on that Monday.
Yes.
And I remember officiating that Saturday night. Or even, yeah, it was the Saturday night. And it was weird. That Saturday night wedding before the Monday.
Yes.
It was like nobody quite knew what was going on. And they were all celebrating. There was no mass. Like everyone was, and they just got it in. And I remember all the ceremonies after that, just having to shuffle everyone's dates, and everyone had to shuffle all of their vendors. And it was intense, but I got through it just slow and steady.
One of the things I loved going to your yoga classes
Mhm.
is the talks before,
Mhm.
the talks during, the talks
Mhm.
after.
Mhm.
I felt very motivated coming out of there.
Mhm.
You were always very good as far as speaking wise and spreading positivity in the
Mhm.
class, and I would come out with a good energy.
Mhm.
I've watched a little bit of videos as far as people's ceremonies go and people that have posted and tagged you in there. And I'm seeing a lot of the same stuff. The energy that you brought forth in yoga, you're bringing it into weddings. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, totally. That's what I do. I help people. I hold space for the people, and I'm there to help facilitate it. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
One of the things we call this the chosen life
Mhm.
is because people finding their chosen life, their chosen journey, so to speak.
Yeah.
And to hear, starting off in chemistry, finding a
Mhm.
way to yoga, finding
Mhm.
your way to weddings,
Mhm.
you never know where life is going to hit that way.
No.
But yet you find your calling, so to speak, and it
Mhm.
just seems so natural. Like when I see the pictures of you with the bride and groom, this seems like the most natural thing for me in the world.
Yeah, me too. I love it. Like I wake up when I've got weddings to do. I mean, I'm excited. I love meeting the couples. I love hearing their stories and helping them with their ceremonies, and then getting there the day of and just being there and all the different emotions, and being there to help support them through all those emotions if they're nervous or excited, like whatever all the emotions are, and to be there and to hold the space for them and to help them make that connection and to get them to the other side. I always tell couples, I'm like, just imagine you're on first class on an airplane, and I'm your pilot. We're gonna land this thing. You just sit in those chairs. You enjoy your wedding. Enjoy the connection. I'm gonna make sure this plane lands, and people seem to kind of like that feeling that they know I'm gonna take care of the situation.
Imagine like their happiest moments, like
Hmm.
going back to watch the video. They have pictures up in their house
Hmm.
and you're there. You got to enjoy those moments with them and you're
Hmm.
embedded into their lives
Hmm.
forever. That must be a
Yeah,
great feeling.
yeah. It's incredible. It's a great. Yeah, it's great.
And then what is that feeling with those couples when they finally have children and then you get to see the children that were produced from the marriage that you officiated? That must blow your mind.
Yeah, the whole thing, it's incredible. I love, yeah, seeing how it all blossoms, and then they have the kids, and then yeah, it's incredible.
Imagine one day, because you're young enough,
Hmm.
you're one day going to officiate a wedding
Hmm.
for someone that you married off their parents, more than likely. It's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Well, what's even starting to happen now, because I've been teaching yoga for almost 20 years, is I used to teach pregnant women, right?
Yes.
And pregnant women would come into class. Well, now those kids are teenagers. Like it's incredible. I haven't really had any of them come through yoga classes yet, but yeah, it's a very similar thing.
And you see them and you can remember that they were pregnant like yesterday.
Yeah,
And time
everything feels like yesterday.
and time just literally goes into a blur.
Time goes into a blur, yeah.
So without naming names,
Mhm,
obviously, but if you've done 1,000+ weddings,
mhm,
which you have,
mhm,
there must have been some pretty interesting tales. Any
mhm.
things that you could share with us as far as funny circumstances or interesting different kind of weddings that you didn't expect? Because there must be all kinds out there.
Yeah, I always get this question. I always seem to I always seem to forget, but there's just they're all so interesting.
Like,
But
did somebody dress up like in a devil angel outfit, perhaps, or a colored theme wedding?
well, see,
Or
now you say dressed up, so now I think, well, all the Halloween weddings I've done over the years, right?
that's a thing.
Oh, Halloween weddings are huge. Yeah,
Hmm.
every Halloween I do a wedding. Yeah,
There's a Halloween wedding.
every Halloween I do a wedding where people, they dress
So
up to
do
the
they do
wedding.
like the slutty nurse or cop to the cowboy get married, or like?
No, usually people every time a Halloween wedding I've done, everyone stays like scary formal, like gothic kind of
Oh,
formal
okay, okay.
looking. I mean, it's never really like costume like that. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's the Halloween stuff. What else do I do? I do so much stuff. I don't know. Uber drivers witnessing, get marrying people in the back of Uber cars. I don't know. I've done,
People got married in the back of an Uber car.
yeah.
What would possess them
Yeah.
to do that, Johnny?
Sometimes sometimes interesting things happen, and people like to be spontaneous and do elopements, right? And just get married. So um yeah, sometimes they're just in the car and they need a witness. And so the Uber driver has to be a witness and we're all in the car and yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Any extremes, like people getting married like a Dairy Queen or McDonald's or anything along those lines,
Oh, Dairy Queen,
or something
McDonald's.
in that genre? Like, is there like,
Mm.
I'm thinking, what is like the most low key type wedding, and
Uh,
then what is the most elaborate weddings that you've seen?
oh, I mean the low key stuff is it's tons of low key stuff. I mean, yeah, I mean, low key is just yeah, we meet up in a park and people just want to get married. I mean, the thing is, remember we talked about the two witnesses, right?
Right, right.
Well, some people don't want anybody to know. Well, then who do they get as their witnesses? So sometimes I have to drag friends
Ah,
out to be witnesses. So I have to call up friends saying, "Hey, can you come and can you come be a witness?" And
have you ever had to pull people off the street to be witnesses?
uh, waiters, maybe waiters, photographers for sure. A lot of
Mhm,
photographers because
mhm.
you hire photographers. There's at least one witness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've definitely asked people to be a witness. And then the most glamorous ones, well, those are like Casa Loma.
Oh.
Those weddings are really beautiful, and Four Seasons, and all those really cool venues in Toronto. Yeah.
And now, do the people, the bride and groom, do they give you, like, as far as for you, a dress code of what they expect you to wear, or do you get to decide from that, just general, neutral, formal wear? How do you decide
Yeah, I'm
that?
pretty good. I usually wear a black suit, white shirt, black tie. Sometimes bride and groom want me to wear something a little bit different, and I just always just say, look, make sure it's in writing. Let me know what you want me to wear, and I can accommodate it.
Was
Because
there,
sometimes with the pictures, I don't want to be wearing the same thing as the groom or the groomsmen. So yeah,
yeah, because you'll look like you're one of the groomsmen.
yeah,
Yeah,
you don't
makes
want to kind
sense.
of look like a
Yeah.
groomsman. Yeah.
Is there any particular funky outfits you've had requested for you to wear?
No, actually, I haven't had any funky outfits for me to wear. That would be a good one, but I
Well,
haven't had that one
if
yet.
you ever marry me off one day, I'll
Yeah,
think of something interesting for you. Don't worry. Actually, when I found out the whole concept that you were doing this, I
yeah.
said to myself, if I do this one day again, he's gonna be my guy. So still holding out hope, my friend, but we got to find Mrs. Chosen Life for that. So
Whenever I'm here.
now, how many, as far as would you say from the yoga community? Has that been a good, as far as
Sure.
a lot of students have ended up getting you in to do their wedding, as far as the
Sure.
relationship goes?
Yeah, definitely. Plus, it says in my bio on my website, it says that I'm into yoga. So that usually sparks a lot of people that are practicing yoga. They like that, they're into that. And I've made one thing on my bio that I put in there that I didn't think this was going to be a thing at all.
Yes.
But I wrote that did my chemistry degree at Trent University.
Yeah.
Well, the amount of alumni at Trent University that love this idea, and I've married so many Trent University alumni because of that. I mean, they must read that and they must think, "Oh, it's so cool," because Trent is a really interesting community, and
Yes.
they must think that that's really neat to have a Trent University alumni. So yeah, I've married a lot of Trent University alumni because of that one sentence. I didn't even know that was going to be a thing.
If I were you, I'd be going to do workshops at U of T, at York, whatever they call Ryerson now, and then
All
and
these
put in
universities.
alumni here, there, and have them all
Uh-huh.
pop up.
Uh-huh.
No, that's fantastic to see. Now,
Mhm.
as far as from the general state of marriage today,
Mhm.
is it possible to even say this is a general age group that I married? This is the demographic. Or do marriages now come in all ages, all shapes, all sizes, as far as people go?
All ages legally. Legally, the age is 18 in Ontario,
Hmm.
and so that's the youngest. Don't get too many people in the 18 to 19 range.
Thank goodness.
Usually, very average. I would say we're looking at 28 to 32, and then I've done I've gone this in the 70s, and I married two people that were 72.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and you get the whole spectrum.
I was thinking of that because as a real estate corporate lawyer, my
Hmm.
background,
Hmm.
I help a lot of people, first time buyers, buy their first property.
Hmm.
And the very popular age bracket that I tend to find when younger people are buying their first property is about 28 to 31.
Hmm.
This light bulb is going on over the head. I have to own real estate and then I have to find a spouse.
Hmm.
That seems to be a common denominator with it.
Hmm.
But I'm also noticing that versus, let's say, 10 years ago, like I've been practicing law for close to 20 years now.
Hmm.
And I can tell you that the 28-year-olds back then are not the same the way they are today. I'm
Hmm.
finding when, let's say, two 28-year-olds are going to buy their first property together, whether it's a man and woman or a same-sex couple, they are coming into it a lot more business-like than they ever were before. I get asked the question, is it okay if we bring in two different bank drafts for the balance of the monies?
Mm.
When they're sitting in the appointment, they're talking about, so I'm going to be responsible for this bill, you're responsible for that one, that one. It becomes
Mm.
very business-oriented like.
Hmm.
So I don't find that there's a lot of lovey-dovey anymore when it comes to the transactional part of it.
Interesting.
Are you noticing at all any hints as far as from your end as a wedding officiant, as far as the transactional part of it versus the love part of it?
That's really interesting. No, I don't remember. I'm really focusing in on the wedding day with these couples, and helping them through that, helping them with the ceremony. I don't I have not I have not noticed that. But also I haven't been doing this for 20 years, so I've only been doing it for about 5, 6 years. So
You're coming there,
yeah,
John. I
I'm
mean,
getting
listen, a
there. Yeah.
thousand once you get your first thousand under the belt, but you're not seeing that they're bringing their lawyers with them and they're
No, I
negotiating the
don't. I
prenup
don't.
right up until the
No,
day
because I
before.
don't see any of that stuff.
Lucky you, because
Yeah,
I can tell you, I get asked that
I
question a
know.
lot.
I know.
And it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of life. As long as there's going to be marriage, people are always thinking as far as ahead. So I can tell you, as a lawyer side of it, I
Hmm.
see the unromantic side of the transactional part.
Hmm.
And my hope is by the time they make it to their day, because I'm not a part of that, that discussion is long done. Any contracts were long signed, and people are off to go enjoy loving bliss. So it's good to hear that by the time you come there, they're in that loving state.
Yeah, I mean, this is their wedding day. I mean, this is the day's so pumped up, right? It's great. Hmm.
When they first get engaged, I wish they would come
Hmm.
and talk to you first. You can get them in that marital bliss, then come to me in that kind of awe state. You can do things a little nicer, and then, but listen, that's what happens when you have a union in a relationship. You got to think about all those things. So that's why we have wedding officiants. That's why we have lawyers, and that's why we get things done.
Hey, some people do the surprise, the engagement party weddings. You know about those?
No,
Oh, so you have an engagement party, and
yes.
then surprise, we're getting married at the engagement party. That's a thing.
If somebody proposed to me, and I was going to have, I would think my engagement party, and then I found out I was getting married.
No, you know about it. It's all the friends and family members that do it.
Oh, I thought they're gonna propose. And then, by the way, see, I just watched this horror movie called The Invitation. I don't want to ruin it for people, but that's kind of the plot line of it. So, okay, so the both people
Yeah,
know they are getting married. Okay, because
yeah.
John, if you think about it, if somebody was gonna do a fun engagement party where they're gonna pull out the ring and propose,
Mhm.
and then bring out the officiant and say, "By the way, we're getting married right now," you'd probably have to have a vomit bag, I would assume, handy or something, right? Because somebody's not ready
I've
for that.
actually done that. See, when you start talking, start to remember all the weddings. But yeah, a groom called me once and was like, "I want to surprise my fiance and get married to her this day. She doesn't know." And I was like, "No, no, she knows. She knows." We're like, "Shit." I'm like, "Okay." And it was all good. She was very happy, but
Yes. But I could see, like, how they do proposal cam during sporting events and
yes,
concerts,
yes,
and sometimes there's a no or there's a long pause and
yes,
silence. It's a little awkward.
yeah.
That's what I imagine that kind of proposal wedding party would look like. So, but in the other case, which both people know,
Yes,
then all the guests aren't aware of it.
yes.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, they're fun. And then I show up and it's I kind of have to be hidden a bit because who's this guy, right? So I kind of get to come out at the end.
Is that a common thing? Like, does that
It's
actually?
not common. It's
Yeah.
just we're talking about different wedding things, so I'm just throwing out different things I've done.
Look, there's so much out there that, it's all been done, so to speak. Like as far as people putting the banner or putting the plane flying up in the
Hmm.
air,
Hmm.
rose petals, like
Hmm.
everything that can be imaginable for a proposal. You think it's been done, but
Hmm.
everybody wants to try to find a new
Of
thing.
course.
So that's listen. Something else to think about, perhaps in the future, is keep some of these stories because they may make for a very good book in the future,
Yeah,
as
maybe.
far as Johnny's wacky wedding stories.
Hmm.
So now, we're finishing off the year 2022, going
Yes.
into 2023.
Hmm.
Johnny, what's your game plan? How can people reach you, and what's exciting in your world right now?
Yeah, I'm just moving forward with what I'm doing. I love doing the yoga and the weddings, and I'm just moving forward. I have my website, johnnybelinko.com, where I do you can reach me out for weddings, and yeah.
For those people that are listening today, and there's a lot of them out there that have thought about yoga, kind of resistant to yoga.
Hmm.
We can sit here and do a whole episode just on yoga
Hmm.
excuses. I'm not flexible
Hmm.
enough.
Hmm.
It's not for me. I
Hmm.
tried it for 10 seconds. I know I'm never going to do it again. But for those people that are contemplating it, or people have come to you and said, I thought about it, but I'm not really sure. What do you tell them as far as reaching out and saying, hey, give this a try?
Yeah, I know the yoga words get so loaded sometimes, and it's really about you've got your body, you've got your breathing, and just enjoying making the connection to your own breath, and just enjoying moving the body. I mean, that's really what it all is. And sometimes the labels and the names can cause a lot of problems. So I'm not really that, and I instruct yoga, but I'm more interested in people connecting to their breathing, connecting to their body. And if the yoga is the vehicle, that's going to get you there, go for it. If not, find another vehicle. There's so many vehicles out there, so many different practices, things you can do to connect with your breathing, connect with your body, twist your body forward, fold, strengthen. Um, so yeah, just start moving your body, see what happens, and see what doors open for you.
I'm just so grateful to yoga. Yoga opened
Hmm.
up so many doors for me
Hmm.
in my life. Without yoga, there is no chosen lawyer, there's no chosen life podcast, there's no nothing.
Hmm.
There's just me sitting in a corner in a fetal position, probably sobbing uncontrollably. So I'm really grateful to yoga,
Hmm.
showing me my enlightenment, my light, and
Hmm.
my path. And that's where I tell people, listen, I don't want to shove it down your throats, but I had such a good experience. But
Hmm.
the funny part of it with yoga is that people just, when they see me out there, they're like, oh, okay, so you were just natural and you just instantly took to it. I'm like, no, when I was going for the first 6 months, I hated it. I was going 3 times, 4 times a week. I despised almost every second of it. 10 minutes felt like 10 hours for me,
Hmm.
but I knew in my mind, this is challenging me. I'm not very good at this. Means I got to try it some more. Means I got to work harder. And when I let go of all what I thought were my restrictions and my walls, and eventually I said to myself, you're going to go and you're just going to show up, and whatever happens happens. And if every time you go, you get better at one position, even by 1 millimeter, that's good enough for me. So there's
Hmm.
no pressure at all. Let's just go and have a good time and let's go chill out. It felt fun. And the more I
Hmm.
stopped putting pressure on myself and thinking of what I was restricted at and just accepted what my limitations are and saw the benefits, it felt great. So that's where I love to share that with other people,
Hmm.
inspire them to find their path. But hey, you can bring people to things, but at the end of the day, they gotta choose that. And like you were saying, there's so many avenues out there that you can do. You can walk, you can do Pilates, you can go to the gym, you
Hmm.
can go pick up racket sports, anything. Just
Whatever.
do something and
Do
find
something.
and find your path with it.
Yeah, find your path, find your thing. I mean, yoga's my thing. I love it. I've made, 3 trips to India now and got to study there. And I love that culture. And yeah, I mean, I really like it, but I don't think everyone needs to get put into that same path. But if you're interested in finding something to help you connect to your breathing, move your body, definitely give it a shot. But you are gonna mostly, if it's working, then you should be hating it. If you because it's gonna show you stuff, and it's gonna show you stuff because that's the only reason you're gonna get rid of the tensions or get rid of toxins or anything. You got to see it. It's got to come to the surface in your head and your body, and then you can start working it out. You're not gonna be able to get rid of stuff or deal with stuff unless it actually comes to the surface and exposes itself to you.
I love the expression on the wall of Moksha Thornhill at the time.
Hmm.
As I would walk from the change room towards the shower in the bathroom, There was a sign there, and it was written out on the wall. It said, "If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you."
Mm.
And I love that. And I said to myself, "Yeah, it is challenging me. So guess what? I guess it is changing me. It's evolving me." So I was very resistant to it at the beginning, and I thought to myself, "This is hopeless. It's never going to happen for me." And then one day when I stopped caring about it and I just went for it, it just started to come to be. So that's where I tell people, find your path with it. But any kind of activity is better than no activity.
Yeah.
And let's spread positivity. Jonny, I want to thank you for coming on today
Yeah.
and for doing good into the world. I mean, you're helping people in yoga, you're helping people as far as getting married and forming their lives together. You're doing goodness in this world. In a world that's not always so great, it's good to know there are good people there. You're one of the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
So appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, man.
Heavily encourage people to go onto your website, jonnybelinko.com,
Mm-hmm.
and check you out.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're signing off, we do our flex and we say,
Do I flex too?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Bring out the pipes and we say, keep living the chosen life.
Keep living the chosen life.
Thanks, brother.